The economic collapse. Trade wars have begun and the stock market's already plummeting. You might want to share and repost this one because most people have no clue how fast things unravel when the system collapses. The moment the system crashes, credit cards, debit cards, crypto, and online banking will be useless. Banks will shut down, ATMs will be empty, and people will be in shock. Cash might still work, but only temporarily. The first wave of panic buying begins. Most people will still cling to hope that the economy will bounce back. Stores may continue accepting cash, but inflation will skyrocket. What little is left on the shelf will cost 10 times more than what it does now. Gold and silver will be accepted, but only while supplies last. Once goods start running out, money won't matter anymore. The economy will be in total collapse. Banks won't reopen, the government won't be able to stabilize the market, and cash will be worthless as toilet paper. Even gold and silver will lose value because when there's no food, precious metals can't feed you. Bartering will take over as the new economy. So what becomes currency when traditional money fails? Things like alcohol and tobacco, medicine and medical supplies, salt and sugar, hygiene and sanitation goods. After a collapse, your bank account isn't going to save you. What you physically have in your possession is all that's going to matter.
Off our stock exchange. The prospect of Donald Trump's trade policies are sending shockwaves through world markets. Fears of a US recession sparking a plunge on Wall Street and wiping billions off our stock exchange. The prospect of tariffs on key Australian exports not improving prospects either.
Donald Trump's trade tariffs against friend and foe is no small beer for Canadian drinkers.
Fight fire with fire.
All American alcohol taken off shelves in Ontario, Canada's biggest province with 14 million people, as tit-for-tat trade sanctions start hitting consumers and producers.
We're the largest purchaser of bourbon in the world for Kentucky bourbon manufacturers. They're done. They're gone.
The broader economic fallout from the US president's escalating trade war and the fears of a recession triggering a sell-off on Wall Street and a slump on the Australian Stock Exchange. Trump's treatment of Canada, America's closest ally, fueling doubts that Australia will be able to negotiate an exemption from US tariffs for Australian steel and aluminium, scheduled to start later this week.
We need to make sure that there's a deal in place so that the tariffs can be removed, so that we can keep our aluminium and steel-making industry strong.
We've been very strongly putting forward Australia's position.
But some key advisors to the White House are urging the president against granting any exemptions. And former Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull, who secured an exemption when Trump was last president, isn't convinced they're in prospect.
Are we just going to become, just a conga line of sycophants creeping through the White House, paying homage to this guy and telling him he's a genius? And, look, it's ludicrous.
Donald Trump's not just reshaping America, but its economic and security relationship with the Western world, which means traditional partners like Australia will have to become more self-sufficient.
US is looking less reliable, world looking more dangerous. That says Australia is going to have to spend more on defence, and maybe sooner than we'd like.
Andrew Probyn, 9 News.
If you want to...
Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem, Rakakodash. I'd like to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Peace and blessings and Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai. Hold up. Wherever it may be, this is another lesson through the Spirit. It says stocks plunge after recession fears. As we are in an economic downturn in America, as we see the price of eggs, the price of rents, and just the price of basic necessities go up. And the people are in mourning, okay? And the people are crying out because they inability to feed themselves and to sustain their livelihoods, man. Which is all part of the scriptures, is all part of prophecy. As we're witnessing a fast downcline or a decline in the American economy, like going back into 2008 when the housing market collapsed. You had them to bail out the banks and, the private sectors and the auto industry. just to reset everything back to 0% interest rate under what they call QE, a quantitative easing, which allows them to borrow money from the Fed at a 0 to none interest rates. Basically, what they did was kick the can down the road, as that's a turn circling the drain, as the Americans' economy is constantly declining due to the insurmountable amount of debt that they're printing through the Fed, which is this fiat currency, this Federal Reserve note, which is the US dollar. All right. Now you have these trade wars up to 25% on tariffs, Canada, China, Mexico. And they're retaliating by putting tariffs on America. But you got their allies basically stating, well, look, we're going to retaliate because, to be honest with you, we don't really need America. And they really don't, because, I mean, a lot of these nations are trying to succeed from the dollar, you know, because the US dollar isn't being backed by anything, any precious metal or anything of that nature. So now they had this alleged, I won't say raid, but allegedly they're supposed to have had this whole thing on Fort Knox, which they wanted to live stream, but I think that was shut down because they haven't done a proper audit since before 1970 to find out that there ain't no gold there, but find out that a lot of gold bars are in circulation, and a lot of the gold bars have been shipped over to China. Now all of a sudden the vaults of England and so forth have been opened to try to get these bars back in circulation, so therefore the American people won't have any type of how can I say it? They won't have any type of idea as to the elites stealing wealth, man. Okay, because you would ask yourself, wait a minute, if you are $40 trillion in debt, why don't you just print more money to pay out the debt? But it don't work that way, because the more money you print without it being backed by anything is just going to increase the debt. So how about you use the gold and the precious jewels you have in service? But they're not going to use that because that's the elite's wealth. Okay, that's what they've stolen from the people. All right, but nonetheless, people are getting ready to lose it, man, because they're talking about possibly recession, which you mentioned that word recession to Americans. They kind of get in panic mode because, you know, Americans, they've prided themselves off their possessions. Okay, they luxury lifestyle on being able to afford things than other people. You know, so these people have totally become spoiled, you know, because when you listen to these TikTok videos and these particular videos of people ranting, like I was looking at this one last night. It says America's financial crisis, mass layoff, worthless degrees, ghost jobs. There's a lot of entitled people in here that assume they have to be well off because they call themselves Americans, not knowing the history of this country, which through rape, robbery, and murder, bloodshed. And now the Most High is recompensing you because now you're basically spoiled. Okay, like it tells us in Habakkuk, you've spoiled many nations, so therefore you will be booty, which booty goes into spoil. You know, so it's not looking too good, man. And I really believe that it's possible that we could see a collapse of this system this year, Lord's will. You know, it's not a prophetic thing, but it just, you know, something that I just personally believe. But who knows when this thing is going to transpire. But from what the forecasters are saying and the tariffs and the fact that things are going up, hey, we could see a collapse any day now, man. You know, and this is all done through systematic means in order to bring in a digital technocracy, because at the end of the day, they want everybody to receive that chip. So they're pushing everybody into the corner. So therefore, they can comply with these new draconian mandates that the government will soon push upon people. All right. So let's go here. A couple of precepts. Wasn't going to be a long lesson, but this is the book of Sirach. Matter of fact, I'll come back to that Sirach. But this is the book of Ecclesiastes 12:1. Because see, you American people, man, you're so lackadaisical to the point that you just knew through the spirit that your society was just going to be in prosperity forever. But if you know anything about how finances work and how the financial markets work behind a fake debt currency, you will know that you will put on a credit-based system just for this very reason right here. Okay, so a shutdown can come. And eventually they can introduce the CBDCs, which will soon be the MOTB. So that was already in the books for the elites when they established the Federal Reserve. That's the micro C-hipping people, man. Okay, this is not a new concept, you know. But this is the book of Ecclesiastes 12. And this is in the New Living Testament translation. And it reads, it says, don't let the excitement of your youth cause you to forget the Creator. Honor him in your youth before you grow old and say life is not pleasant anymore. you know, which takes me back to you Sister Maybellines out there. That's part of the Christian church. You know, you believe somehow, some way that once you give your life to Jesus after you've been played the harlot, then all of a sudden, you know, you're given a clean slate. But it don't work that way. Okay, the Lord says, seek ye while you may be found, you know. And these nigga women is completely out of order. I mean, here you fat and sloppy, and, you know, you walking around here like your shit don't stink. But anyway, and it reads, it says, remember him before the light of the sun, moon, and stars is dim to your old eyes, and rain clouds continually darken your sky. But remember him before your legs, the guards of your house start to tremble, and before your shoulders, the strong men stoop. And remember him before your teeth. It says, remember him before your teeth, and before your shoulders, strong men. And remember him before your teeth, and your few remaining servants stop grinding, because your eyes and the women looking through the windows see dimly. All right. Now, when you go into the King James, I don't like that version. When you go into the King James version, it says here, in the days when the keepers of the house should tremble, the strong men should bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few. Yeah, man, the work situations, man. People are being laid off in record numbers, especially since these Doge cuts have come in fruition. Okay, Trump has wiped out so many different employees without notice. I mean, they gave them notice, but they just cut jobs, man, in the federal government. I believe over 100,000 jobs were cut. And this is why you have all these people complaining on TikTok about how, you know, their jobs are being taken away, and that they've been on a job maybe 6 months, and some people were laid off twice a year. People are pretty much losing it, man. Okay, because they've put their faith in a system that's destined to fail. As the scriptures say, trust not in uncertain riches. And it's good for you people, because you people are proud as hell, man. Okay, you look down on everybody because of your degrees, because of your neighborhoods, the type of vehicles you drive. You look down because of your so-called educational benefits, and you think your shit don't stink. But then when you get that eviction letter, or you get that layoff notice, then all of a sudden you feel some type of way. But it says, and those that look out the windows be darkened, because there's a lot of pessimism going on in America. Okay, people are losing hope in Trump, as his polls or his ratings are declining now, because the first thing he mentioned when he got in office, elected as president, that he was going to decrease the deficit and he was going to get the price of food down. Right. But when you go to the tweet, he stated, man, stop crying about fucking high eggs, man. Which, when you look at it, it's like, OK, you know, people are complaining because eggs are $10. But I mean, you got way much worse shit to look forward to than a carton of eggs being $31, man. Even though that's bad and unjust. But that's just the beginning, because eggs ain't going to be the only thing that's getting ready to skyrocket, man. OK, you're going to have bread, butter, rice. Like right now, everybody's stocking up on beans and rice because, I mean, it's good protein. And that's a common dish among all cultures. But everybody's stocking up on beans and rice. And they got to, you know, let go of the grouper and the salmon and all, you know, the buffalo fish and all that high end shit they eat. The crab legs and all that stuff. That stuff is getting ready to go up, man. All right. And it says here, and the doors should be shut in the streets. And we're seeing that. We're seeing an economic downturn as the Dow Jones is pretty much collapsing, man. I think they said that the GDP is going to be down 2%. But then the doors should be shut in the streets. And when the sound of the grinding is low, he should rise up at the voice of the bird, which represents your alarm clocks. And all the daughters of music should be brought low. OK, so this is clearly an economic downturn that we're witnessing. And it's going to get worse. All right. And I don't see it getting better. OK, because back in the month of October, I believe they only added 12,000 jobs to the market, which is horrible. OK, compared to the alleged job growth that this country is supposed to see on an annual basis. OK, it's a done deal, you know. So hell yeah, man. Call Allah Yahweh Shem Shai, man. Our troubles are almost up to the point we ain't got to worry about this fucking society too much longer. Clocking in to work, you know what I'm saying? Paying these unlawful bills. Shit. 25% tariffs on Canada. Hey, they talk about in certain states, energy is getting ready to go up. So, hey, expect your energy bills to go up this summer, because America harbors a lot of energy from Canada, man. You know? So it's not looking too good for Babylon, all right? But I'm going to play another one of these videos real quick and get a couple more precepts, and that'll be that. I think it was this one here. No, this is the one which one did I just look at? I think, was it this one?
Yeah, let's look at this one here.
As Donald Trump runs back to Mar-a-Lago to play golf once again this weekend on the taxpayer's dime as he keeps crashing our economy, he posted this message to the American people: shut up about egg prices. Shut up. Here he makes this post on a social media platform. It's an article from Charlie Kirk, and Donald Trump posted, "Shut up about egg prices, Americans. Trump is saving consumers millions." No, he is not saving consumers millions as he's playing golf on the taxpayer dime. Donald Trump is crashing the economy with his feckless trade wars where he goes, I'm going to do a trade war today. Oops, the market's crashing. I'm not going to do a trade war. I'm going to do a trade war with Canada and Mexico. Oopsies, the market's crashing. I'm not going to do that. Now, because of Donald Trump's policies, the Atlanta Federal Reserve is predicting a negative 2.8 to negative 3% GDP in Q1, a contraction, and we're also predicting inflation, which is stagflation. Low GDP, surging prices equals stagflation, which is a disaster for our economy. Most economists now are predicting a recession, a great recession, or even a depression, as Donald Trump's surrogates are out there saying, oh.
And that scares these bums, man. They call themselves Americans. And these people are so fucking stupid. Every president that they've ever elected have always told them lies and never delivered on promises. Biden, Trump the first time, you know, even though the first time Trump, you know, the economy was always bad, but it wasn't as bad as it was now, okay? The pandemic and the retail apocalypse and the government took over during the pandemic, that increased a lot of deficit, you know what I'm saying, and pushing uncertain policies and spiking rents. Like right now, rents have, it's like a flat market, you know, rents, like inflation, man. How cost of living went up during that 25% in certain areas. And rents have pretty much inflated out at a particular price a month. Like the average rent here in KC is roughly $1,400. You know, if you're lucky, you find something for $1,000 a month, you know, depending on what area you go. But even then, you're not getting your bang for your buck. You know, they slap luxury on some shit, and then that's a $500 price hike just because they put luxury on some shit, you know. But rents pretty much flatted out, and rents are not going down. You know what I'm saying? So people are losing it. They're pissed off. And that's because they put their faith in an uncertain God. All right, so this is the book of Sirach 34, and I'm going to start at verses 21. It says, the bread of the needy is their life, and he that defrauded him thereof is a man of blood. Yeah, and Esau is so wicked to the point he will lay people off, and he'll give them a 2-week servants package, man. Fuck 2 weeks, to just a paycheck. Like, if I've been working for a company 20 years and y'all go under, I expect to be paid out for at least 7-8 years, man. My actual salary, because don't think that the company don't have money, okay, even though they may go bankrupt, but still they got enough money to pay salaries, man, because you better believe when those doors close, those CEOs are taking home major bonuses. So I'm not buying that. So if I put 20 years into a fucking company that closed the door, I want my same pay or even more with increase for 8-9 years, man. You know what I'm saying? But Esau, he's that wicked. That's why it says, the bread of the needy is their life, and he that defrauded him is a man of blood. Yeah, and Esau was that bloody man. And he that taketh away his neighbor's living slayeth him, and he that defrauded the labor of his hire is a bloodshedder, man. Yeah, man, because like I said, you work these jobs and they don't want to pay you shit, and then they'll let your ass go without any warning, and then, you know, you ask for unemployment and you totally deny it. Okay, that's the wicked ruler. That's why this man has to be taken down. And it says that when one build it, another pull it down. What profit have they then but labor, right? Because this is nothing but a laborious society. You know, people come here to America expected to make high-end dollar, and all of a sudden they find themselves working in a damn sweat factory. You've been better off in your own country, for real, because it's all slavery, you know. But it says, he that taketh away his neighbor's living slayed him, and he that defrauded the labor of his hire is a bloodshedder. And Esau is a shed of blood, man, okay, because he doesn't care about the people. And eventually this will lead to civil unrest, because the minute that these stores shut down and the minute that the banks go under, people are going to revolt to the streets. They're going to find these judges, these lawyers. They're going to protest outside of Federal Reserve, and it's going to get violent. Okay, the American people have been far lackadaisical for far too long, and it's to the point they're getting ready to rise up, because the Lord is getting ready to put a spirit of discontent in these people, man, because they're catching on to the folly, to the point they was tricked. All right. This is the book of Isaiah 19:4, and it says, "And the Egyptians would I give over into the hand of a cruel lord, and a fierce king should rule over them." And we speculate that's Trump, because he's fierce, man. Okay, Trump even said it. He said he hoped the economy collapsed. And in the midst of bringing things back and wealth back to America, you're going to go through some hardships. But those hardships are going to bring in a mark of the beast. But it says the Lord of hosts, "And the water shall fail from the sea, and the river should be wasted and dried up, and they should turn." It says here, "And they should turn to the rivers, and the brooks of the fence should be empty and dried up, and the reeds and flags shall wither," man. All right, because overall, man, this shit is just getting ready to collapse. So like I say, prostitution is getting ready to be at an all-time high. Look at these black bitches, fucking blue hair. How you gonna have a natural afro and it's blue? And wonder why they bald-headed, all them chemicals in their damn hair. I mean, all women, man, this is why this is the best thing that's happening to America, is these shutdowns, because the pride of these people are really sick, and honestly speaking, they need a reset button. Okay, these people need a hard factory reset on them, because just looking at our people, they're completely out of order. They're wicked as all hell. They're very proud. Okay, you can't tell them anything, and they just look like a bunch of damn clowns, man. And they're too entitled, you know. But anyway, and it says, "And they should turn the rivers far away, and the brooks of the fence should be empty and dried up, and the reeds and flags should wither." And you heard what they just said, that if America continues to plunge, then they're going to have to offer aid and support in defense. And it says here, "And the paper reads by the brooks, by the mouth of the brooks, and everything sown by the brook should wither and be driven away and be no more. And the fishers also shall mourn, and all they that cast an angle into the brook shall lament, and they that spread nets upon the water shall languish. And moreover, they that work in fine flax, and they that weave networks shall be confounded, and they should be broken in the purposes thereof, and that sluices and ponds and fish." Okay, because for the simple fact, we're gonna see a major shutdown. Okay, we're already seeing economic downturn to the point people can't even afford groceries. Okay, one jig woman stated that she spent $341 for maybe 2 bags of groceries, man. And that was only the beginning week of March. Usually $200, $250 will put a decent amount of groceries in your home for a month. But now you spending that shit on a weekly basis, man. Like, I went to go buy some spring water last night, and that shit cost $7-something, man, for some spring water. That's ain't no way in freaking hell. Eggs, $10.99. For the good ones, $25. That just like ain't no way in hell, you know. But going down, it says, "The Lord have mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man that staggered in his vomit." So all jobs are getting ready to be shut down. Neither shall there be any work for Egypt in these so-called recession-proof jobs. Like a lot of these companies, they pride themselves, "Oh, we've never had to lay off in 30 years. Okay, well, you're getting ready to eat that, because a lot of these so-called recession-proof jobs are getting ready to be totally depleted. And I can't wait. I can't wait till this whole economy falls, man, because that way we ain't got to be obligated to this shit no more. You know, like I've always said, I'd rather survive and fight for my life every day before I live like a blind slave to think I'm free. And that's just real talk, man. The Wild Wild West is getting ready to happen here, because these people are fucking greedy. And it says, "Neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail or rush or branch may do. And in that day, Egypt should be like unto women, and be afraid and fear because of the shaking of the hand of the Lord of hosts, which he's shaken over it. And the land of Judah should be a terror unto Egypt, and everyone that maketh mention there should be afraid in himself, because of the counsel of the Lord of hosts, which he determined against it," man. And this is the time where we're at. As the scriptures say, if they're doing this in a green tree, what should they do in a dry? All right. So I'm going to end it giving all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Shem Hawashai. Lord's will, you edify. To the next lesson. Shalom.
This is a very important point. If we don't solve the deficit, there won't be money for medical care. There won't be money for Social Security. We either solve the deficit, or all we'll be doing is paying debt. So it's got to be solved, or there's no medical care, there's no Social Security, there's no nothing. It's got to be solved. It's not optional. America will go bankrupt if this is not done. That's why I'm here.
You see, at first, when someone says, let's impose tariffs on foreign imports, it looks like they're doing the patriotic thing by protecting American products and jobs. And sometimes for a short while it works, but only for a short time. What eventually occurs is, first, homegrown industries start relying on government protection in the form of high tariffs. They stop competing and stop making the innovative management and technological changes they need to succeed in world markets. And then, while all this is going on, something even worse occurs. High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars. The result is more and more tariffs, higher and higher trade barriers, and less competition. So soon, because of the prices made artificially high by tariffs that subsidize inefficiency and poor management, people stop buying. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs. The memory of all this occurring back in the 30s made me determined when I came to Washington to spare the American people the protectionist legislation that destroys prosperity.
News from Wall Street right now. The markets just closed, clocking in their worst day of the year. The Dow Jones falling nearly 1,000 points. Today was the worst day for the NASDAQ since 2022, and the S&P fell about 3%. Wall Street slide here, driven by uncertainty about tariffs and where the economy is going. All this coming in the wake of President Trump's recent back and forth on tariffs with Canada, Mexico, and China. The president also non-committal on the possibility that his policies could lead us into a recession.
Financial markets today roiled by Donald Trump and the chaos he has unleashed on the American economy. The Dow is down more than 2%, around 900 points today, after Trump, in an interview on Fox News, refused to rule out a recession. Watch those comments.
Are you expecting a recession this year?
I hate to predict things like that. There is a period of transition because what we're doing is very big. We're bringing wealth back to America. That's a big thing. And there are always periods of, it takes a little time. It takes a little time. But I think it should be great for us. I mean, I think it should be great.
Should be great. Markets didn't think so, clearly disagreeing with that. Spooked by what Trump called there a, quote, period of transition. All major stock indices are now below the levels they were when Donald Trump was inaugurated. That may be one reason why in that Fox interview, Trump said this, quote, "You can't really watch the stock market," end quote. A sudden about-face from the kinds of things he said during his first term, when markets were his most favorite metric. Today's sell-off and investor concerns are focused around one thing, that Trump's policies, which often come with sudden and surprising reversals, is sending the economy into a recession. New York Times reports this, quote, "President Trump inherited an economy that was, by most conventional measures, firing on all cylinders. Wages, consumer spending, corporate profits were rising, unemployment was low. The inflation rate, though higher than normal, was falling. Just weeks into Trump's term, the outlook is gloomier. The sudden deterioration in the outlook is striking, especially because it is almost entirely a result of Trump's policies and the resulting uncertainty. Tariffs and the inevitable retaliation from trading partners will increase prices and slow down growth. Federal jobs cuts will push up unemployment and could lead government employees and contractors to pull back on spending while they wait to learn their fate. Deportations could drive up costs for industries like construction and hospitality that depend on immigrant labor.